I don't believe it. No questions. Let's go. Shall we?
It sounded like you pretty much knew right after the game, like what Georgia was going to do, and they basically did almost exactly that, and the guys just didn't handle it well. When you went back and looked at the autopsy, went over the film, is that kind of what you saw there too?
Yeah. Listen, I mean, I think their physicality to start the game was elite. I think our guys handled it well after the first couple possessions. And then I think we got in our own way a little bit. We get up 8 or 10, and then we kind of self-inflicted wounds a little bit. And so, we had a stretch where we didn't handle it poor. And in this league, with where we are as a team, we have to avoid stretches like that.
You had mentioned after the game that despite scoring 28 points, it maybe wasn't Otega's best performance, and that you'd be disappointed by it. I guess kind of going off that was what you saw in the film. Did that kind of confirm that? In what ways did you feel like he fell short despite the scoring effort?
Well, here's the thing. The standard is so high. So you talk about an elite on paper offensive performance. Like it was a really elite. I think he's 11 for 17, whatever. He's well over 1 point per possession. The 4 turnovers were painful, but like he produced so much. He also had 4 assists, and his MP4Ts were pretty good. We also gave up 1.26 points per possession on the defensive end. It was the worst defensive performance that Georgia has faced the entire season in the SEC. That's not us. And so, if you give up numbers like that, you're not going to be successful against any team. And so Otega's standard is incredibly high. It might be a higher standard than just about any other player in the country. And so when I talk about being frustrated and disappointed, I know that he looks at it, he's like, hey, there's good stuff there, but his standard is so high that he wants more. And he should. And I love the fact that he's driven that way.
With a guy like him, obviously he's asked to do so much on both ends of the floor. Does he have to find a balance every game of, like, I can't do too much over here because I have to preserve some for over here? Or how does that work?
There's no balance in this game, meaning it's like we have to do what we have to do, right? And so that doesn't mean it's easy. It might mean that it's hard to approach the level that he's striving for, but there's not a lot of balance. We got to guard, and we got to make plays for each other, and we got to play with pace, and that's what we do, and that's what he's doing. That's why what Otega Oweh is doing right now is pretty historic. It's incredibly impressive, and he wants more.
Go ahead.
Yeah. At this point in the season, a lot of teams kind of need a signature win like Georgia, and then you got like Auburn and South Carolina, who beating Kentucky would be kind of that resume booster. So how are the guys adjusting to probably a new level of desperation from whoever they face going forward?
I think that that's always the case. It's not anything new. It's just for everybody at this point of the season, and especially for us here. And also for us, like we're chasing. I don't feel like we're hunted. I feel like we're very much in the hunt, and so it's just a matter of who's going to raise up and win. We have 5 games left. Like it's winning time. This is the best part of the season. It's the best part of the year. This last stretch in conference and the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament is what you live your whole life for. It's when all of the other stuff fades away, the distractions of numbers and playing time and stats and money and all the noise, it goes away, and you're judged and defined on winning. And it's actually as the game gets more convoluted, this is the space where the game gets pure if you can do it right and you get as close as you can. And so this is the best time.
I've noticed on the side that Cam has gone from using that knee scooter to crutches to walking under his own power now. Can you, I guess, kind of describe the progression of his diagnosis to surgery to recovery, and also still the likelihood or no likelihood of him potentially returning this season?
We're optimistic because we're always optimistic. The timeline is tight, and I don't know how much publicly has been talked about the specifics of his injury.
You've talked about.
Yes, I've been really vague, right? But there's a real chance that at some point, if we extend the season out long enough, that he can come back and help us, and we're excited for that to happen.
I suppose it's time for a weekly JQ update as well.
Yeah. He continues to make progress. He is not ready right now. He's not ready. And we're not going to roll him out there till he's 100%, and he's a ways from that. We haven't incorporated him back into practice, and so it's complicated. I don't know how optimistic I am about that. Like I said, he's making great progress, but just, with a guy as explosive as he is, he's got to be 100% ready, and so we're working slowly but positively.
With Cam, how much can he be kind of soaking in, taking in for these few weeks that he's out, especially knowing in maybe the front of his mind that, hey, I might be able to come back and rejoin this thing?
I think he's doing a good job. He's interesting thing about Cam. One of his superpowers that he's so great regardless of what's happening in the game. So he spent. I harken back to games early in the season where he didn't really play at all in the first half and then got some minutes in the second half, and he'd been unbelievable on the bench, like full of enthusiasm, and then came into the game and had huge impact, and that's how he earned himself a starting spot and why he grew so much. So I think you take all this in, and I think he's excited to get back.
With Yelovich, it seems like he's taking one step forward, one step back type thing. Just what have you seen from him? How close is he to getting to that point where he's starting to break through?
It's freshman, right? It's first-year guys. He's got a big upside, and that's exactly how it is. It's just the progress of it. And I love him. I think he's a beautiful kid, and I think he's got a big-time potential. It's just growing.
With the freshmen, you talked recently about Malachi and how the 7th or 8th time that you see things is really hard, but that first time is incredibly hard. How does that kind of relate to Jasper, too, as he tries to get through this and he's seeing different looks for the first time in his career?
It just is. It's the growing process, Jasper did not have a great night the other night, but there were really positive things that he did. Some decisions that didn't work out, but it was exactly the right approach. And so in the growing process, that can be hard and confusing too. It's just like, well, that didn't work, but it's exactly the right stuff. We need to repeat that even though you didn't get the outcome. And so it's a growing process. It's a growing process for our veteran guys too. So.
Do you want him to be as aggressive as possible?
He needs to be as aggressive as possible. He's better when he's aggressive. He's going to see good results when he's aggressive. When he gets into trouble where I don't feel good with him on the court is when he's kind of second guessing and he's a little bit on his heels. But the trick is he needs to be really aggressive, making reproducible plays. One of his best plays was in the first half, and he actually was really forceful and aggressive, getting downhill, got downhill, shot fake, found Trent in the corner. Trent came off, he flowed back, he got another catch and got downhill and got an easy 5-foot floater, which is exactly his pace, but he never gets there unless, one, he's super aggressive getting downhill to 2 feet the first time, and two, he's disciplined enough to recognize where he is to make a play for a teammate so that the next part of the possession comes around to him. Guys, that's hard to learn. That's really hard to learn, but it's advanced level game, and so he's got a chance. He's going to be a special player, but it's just growing. It's growing, and so he's making progress. He did really positive things. Some of them didn't work out well, but I'm proud of him.
Auburn's on a 5-game losing streak. Just what have you seen out of them recently, and what are you preparing for with them?
Yeah, I thought they were good last night. Hibbert just lost his mind and he almost put up a 50 spot, right? He was incredible, but they got their best player back. They're really good at home. I think they're a terrific team. They've knocked off the best teams in our league. Florida on the road, beat Arkansas. So they're one of those teams that's really, really, really good when they're at their best, and then they've had some struggles, like a lot of teams in our league. And so they're talented, they're skilled. Pettiford obviously has been a problem in this league. He's really good. Both Keyshawn's are really having an impact. Overton can have a night at any given time. They're a good team, and so they're well coached. It's going to be a great challenge in a great environment. It'll be a big time environment.
What are you seeing with them as far as their 3-point defense? It seems like they give up a pretty high percentage, but teams don't take a ton against them. Is there something there that you guys?
That's a good defensive team. There's a certain amount of luck that comes into the game. Even in the analytics game, you have to pay attention to it because there's just variables that are non-controllables, and so they've done a great job limiting threes. And then there's a little bit of and making and missing threes is one of the most kind of skewed luck-driven parts of the game. And so, a little bit of misfortune from them. They're a good defensive team. They switch. They get you confused. They put you on your heels. They're good.
Mark, Sean Hall made second most free throws of any player in the country, and also really high up in attempts. What is it about him that makes him
He's versatile and physical. He can mess around behind the 3-point line, so you have to push up on him. And he's got he's not like electrifyingly quick. I kind of, like there's some Paul Pierce juice in him where he goes at his own pace, but when he goes, he really goes. He's a 3-level scorer. He's really good at throwing his body into you. He's a good player, and he's a proven scorer. He's even made a big jump this year, his first year at Auburn. But he's an electric scorer, and he's put up numbers against the best defenses in the country.
How similar of them are they to like the previous teams you've seen from Auburn? Just because obviously Stephen now being in charge, is he kind of taking his assets and running with it, or is there a lot of tweaks?
It's both. I think you can see the imprint of. There's still the DNA of what Stephen and Bruce did together, but also Stephen is putting some of his own juice into this team, and so you can see both.
You talked about the environment. That place gets pretty live, especially on a Saturday night. Just from your team's perspective, going all the way back to the Louisville game to now, how have you seen you guys evolve in road environments?
I think we're more comfortable with who we are. I think it's like hopefully through the course of the season that part becomes more routine. Like you've been there, you felt it, you've performed great in it, sometimes performed poorly. And so it's just that we know what it's like together, and now it's just a matter. So you kind of take a little bit of the variable of that off, and now it's just more focused on the game and how we play and how well we perform.
You talked about the self-inflicted wounds from Georgia and Florida. How do you, is that something in practice? How do you keep that from, following you to Auburn and going forward?
Yeah, it's all percentages. I mean, we had, we had 3 of the most colossally epic non-MP14 plays ever in transition, and then 2 plays later, we're making this brilliant, aggressive, beautiful basketball play, and so it's percentages. Like how much can we lean into playing the right way, and how much can we kind of be focused enough and smart enough and learn it enough to weed out a higher percentage of plays that are just head scratchers. And so that's everybody's fighting that battle, and we are too.
At this point in your coaching career, do you have a pretty much set definition of player leadership, or do you find that evolves with each season? I
think player leadership is dependent on individual guys. Guys have different skill sets, and you can lead in so many different ways. So I think so to answer your question, I don't have a defined set of exactly what a leader is. I think mostly what you're doing is trying to cultivate the leadership skills that your guys possess inherently and then kind of build up around it. And teams are led different ways. Sometimes you have, like the leadership on this team is very unique to any team I've had, and I could probably say that about 2/3 of my teams where it's been unique. It's been its own personality. I think trying to you're really blessed if you can have a traditional check the box on all the spaces leader of a team that can do it that way. And so I think it's a pretty dynamic process. I know that's not a great answer, but it's really true.
Speaking of that, what leadership qualities have you seen in Colin and Malachi?
Yeah.
Obviously 2 underclassmen, Colin a little older, but has been on teams with older guys as far as like a building block for your program and even for this team.
Yeah, Malachi has a steadiness that's inherent to him as a leader. So he brings a steady leadership that's incredibly valuable. Colin has that also. So it's like one of the traditional kind of areas of leadership that you'd look for in anybody, this ability to be steady. I've talked about Malachi has this really steady personality where he just stays super even-keeled. Colin has a steadiness about him that is like every single rep, whether it's May 15th or April 1st, April 6th, it's two very different environments. He's going to go 100% full out. He's just got the ability to kind of bring it every single day. He's also shown this ability to be like clutch, and it's helped him win street cred with his team, where guys are, they're leaning on him just as a performance leadership ability. Malachi is going to continue to grow in terms of his IQ with the game. Like, I think inherently he's a really, really smart player. He's going to learn as he learns more. That's going to be really focused, where he's going to bring that to his team and be able to communicate guys in right spots, right places, right reads. I think that'll be a part of his growth as a leader. Colin is going to continue to grow in his, Colin's going to have a really unique ability as he goes to bond with every single unique individual on the team and kind of meet them where they are. And, I think those two guys are really exciting leaders as we move forward for sure.
You
Mark,
mentioned
I've got 12 students here from my journalism class. From
Go.
a coaching perspective, what kind of advice would you give to a young, aspiring journalist?
Oh, that's dangerous. That's a dangerous question. I would tell you guys that you're in a really complicated space from my position, where unfortunately you're just going to be graded on clicks. Like, that's just what you're graded on. And so that makes your job hard. It makes this job really hard, because you can get cheap clicks or you can get clicks for being great at what you do. And it's probably like everything in life, and that's the challenge. You have an experienced media crew in here, but that's probably the question you're going to ask yourself. Am I going to go down the road of just getting the cheap clicks, or am I going to get the clicks by being the most real, authentic, truth-telling, hardcore journalist? A lot of people would say that can't exist anymore, that long form is gone and real truth-telling is gone, and you just have to put out the headline as inauthentic or manufactured as it might be. You just have to put it out because you got to get clicks, you got to earn a reputation, you got to do it that way. But I don't know if that's advice, but from my perspective, that's the biggest question you're going to have to answer as a journalist. And for my money, if you're great, if you want to be great, you're going to probably do the impossible, and that's going to be like you're going to stay away from the cheap click, manufactured, artificial, skewed headline, and you're going to become like the world's greatest storyteller. Because I will tell you this, I talked to our media about this too. Storytellers have the power in the world right now. And I think in this space where facts can get skewed all kind of ways, it's storytellers that actually have the power, but it comes with an immense responsibility. And I think if you can become a great, authentic, hard-hitting storyteller that is really searching for the truth, the greatness of stories is actually in the truth, rather than just searching for the clicks, I think it'll serve you well. That's my 2 cents. I'm not in the media, but that's my thought.
Nothing. You got one?
I have a question, yeah. So the NCAA president says that they're still trying to work on an expansion of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
We heard you talk about you'd love to see the regular season expand. What are your thoughts on the actual tournament expanding?
I haven't thought this through, but if there's a way we could expand the tournament by increasing our regular season games, I'm all in. Let's go.
Yeah, one more. You talk about the best time of the year being here. How do you juggle that with knowing portal opens a month and a half from now, and knowing there's retention and kind of keeping guys happy and not into the portal, but also kind of keeping an eye on what the landscape would be?
Yeah, that's a complicated space, but it also makes it great. Like, we love, man, this job is so great. This is like everybody's job. The things you love about the job are the most complicated spaces, and it's complicated to manage all that at the same time, but it's why the job's fun. And so, but there are dynamics that are really important. One of the challenges that you face is helping your guys. Listen, everything comes and goes. Like all these things that we think are so important, they come and go. But this time of the year, the winning part is the part that it's all about. Like, it's all about this. As a player, somebody that's worked your whole life to get a chance to do this, it actually is, it's not for all the other stuff. It's to win. It's to go find it and see if you have what it takes to be in that moment. Have you done what it took during the season to learn and grow? Have you built yourself and your team into a place where you can do things better than you've done all year? Matt Painter said, the NCAA tournament is finals. That's your final grade, right? I think he said that a couple days ago, and it's nice. And so sometimes you can get distracted by all the really important stuff and miss finals. Who wants to do that? Like, don't miss the tournament, man. Don't miss these last 5 games of the regular season. Don't miss your last game at Rupp. Don't miss the SEC tournament in our beloved Nashville. Don't miss the NCAA tournament, because that's the stuff that actually separates you. A couple dollars doesn't separate you. The next school doesn't separate you. Like, what separates you is what you do right now. And it doesn't guarantee you results, but man, if you miss putting your whole heart into it, what a shame. So we talk about that as a staff also. We have a job to do. We can do that in the other 45 minutes available out of 24 hours. But right now, it's about, like, how are we going to go win? Like, our players deserve that. We deserve that. We are exactly where we are, and we're in the best time of the year. And so let's not skip it. Let's not miss it. We'll do both. We can do both. Okay? Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.